Okay, welcome everybody tonight to our April workshop meeting. I go around who's in the room with us tonight. I'm George Myers, the town supervisor. On my left is Stephen Bedetti, councilman. Next is Eve Lincoln, councilwoman. We also have Councilwoman Santiago with us tonight. Councilman Moreau. Town clerk Kelly Oliver. Our highway superintendent Anthony Feo. We have our receiver of taxes with us tonight too, Susan Scheibel. We also have Dave Zagon, the town attorney, John McDonald, our IT specialist, Deputy Police Chief Michael Farman, and Patrick Mangan is manning the camera tonight. So we'll get started. First item on the agenda is a couple of no parking signs that we have been recommended by the police lieutenant, Lieutenant Feo, that we put up some signs. So the board always kind of goes along with their recommendation. There'll be some public hearings on this before we do anything, as there is with anything, any vehicle and traffic issues. The next issue is we have an opening for fire inspector. We posted this for 30 days. And I spoke to John McDonald today. We have 3 local firemen, volunteer firemen, that put in for it, and 2 other people. So we have referred those applications to our building inspector, Jennifer Gallagher, who handles with fire inspectors, and she will conduct the interviews, and we'll see how it goes on her recommendation. And hopefully we'll be able to find someone that's suitable for that job, because we really could use a full-time fire inspector in there now. Next item is on the agenda. I've spoken a few times about this. Everybody knows my feelings on this. I think we do too much for other municipalities. So I talked about the IT department providing service to 18 different entities, some municipalities, some other entities. We're in the process now of kind of trying to get a contract together with the town and village of Cornwall for ambulance services. Our recreation facilities, everybody's allowed to use them. And we also provide some after-hours animal control services for Cornwall. Recently, the city of Newburgh has reached out to the police department. They're interested, so we're kind of taking a look at that. So I know the board members have had time to digest this, and one of the board members, Eve Lincoln, had asked John McDonald to submit some paperwork on the contracts. So those contracts we have with other municipalities, they're all a boilerplate, and they're a month-to-month contract, so they could be canceled with some notice. And I think all of the IT people we send out now, we charge the same fee of $100. So, Eve, have you spoken to John about any of this, or you want to talk to him now, or what do you want to do?
Well, John sent me a very detailed email on the IT services we provide for other towns and his take on it and different points of view to consider. So that's why I asked for him to come tonight. He could explain to the whole board better than I could.
The whole, the whole board, what?
I thought he could present what he emailed to me to the entire
Okay.
board.
As long as he knows that this is not War and Peace he's going to present.
Oh no, it
It's
was
okay.
it was a very informative email, and I
Okay.
thought it was very interesting. And I thought
He knows what War and Peace means.
So it's 3 sentences.
No, go ahead.
So Eve asked me to just kind of generalize what we do. We charge $100 per hour. We charge in 15-minute increments. Basically, a full-time employee's work 1,080 hours per year. It gives us a pool of about 8,320 hours of billable time. We just executed an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Cornwall in February 2022 that the board approved. Recently, we lost Ray Santiago. He left for a higher paying job for a private company. He was only with us for 7 months. This quarter, the revenues for intermunicipal, which just covers labor, is $53,000. Based on how we're going right now with our labor, we're projecting to bring in about $193,000. And that would cover the salary and benefits of 2 information technology officers of the Danielle Raymond caliber. So they would be covered in full, and Doreen's worked out a sheet to ensure that what we charge, we're recouping for the town. And then include benefits, any taxes we pay, and anything else that might be in there. So in 2021, we brought in 114,798. We were short one IT officer for about 6 months. Back in January 2021, Jonathan resigned to take a higher paying job at a private company, and Raymond came on board towards the end of July. Our two IT officers cost us $121,107. Basically, if they're not doing IT work, then they're intermunicipal IT work, they're doing work for us in-house. So that gives us a bigger pool to work with, and we can do more bigger complex projects for the town. Kind of the positive was the state mandated several times over the last couple of years for municipality to engage in shared services agreements. And part of the carrot stick type thing was if you didn't have a shared services agreement, then future tax relief programs would not be available to that municipality's residents. We receive significant discounts on our products. It's usually below New York State contract. For most of our software subscriptions or backups and stuff, we're getting about 40% off on those subscriptions. Recycling, I split with the town of Newburgh, so it's a 50-50 deal. So the recycling fee for them to come pick stuff up is $1,500, and we split that. We were significantly involved in some incentives. I was on the steering committee for the New York State Public Safety Broadband Priority. We're also intimately involved right now. We're on the kind of the steering committee for the niche police department records program as far as network going. We represent the 18 other municipalities that we do. There's some stuff that they want to do we don't agree with, and it's going to cause some aggravation, and it's under the guise of, it's necessary to provide the police with niche and that's a record management software, and it really doesn't. We have an ongoing relationship with the town and village elected officials we work with. And then some of the downsides are there's very little idle downtime in the IT department. Municipalities' holiday schedules or when we close don't necessarily align with us. Information technology staff burnout. IT officers are not always in town hall, but they could be off onto our other facilities or other municipality buildings. And they're always available through a cell phone, and they receive, the $40 a month reimbursement as some of our other employees. The elimination of the municipal agreements, which will likely generate some animosity with the municipalities. They really don't have any place to go. We had one that we were looking to discontinue with, and then George got several phone calls from him that they weren't able to basically find somebody, and they wanted to stay with us. I turned down municipalities because we're always getting phone calls every once in a while that they want us to do their work. And then we have influence over some of the bigger projects that involve the county or the state because of the amount of work that we do and the volume of business. And then the IT staff gains competency and skills from working with other municipalities for the amount of work they do and different scenarios they see. Some of those skills will probably likely degrade if we just concentrate on the town. That was just my take on the municipals.
Okay, listen, I have a couple of issues. One is that the liability thing for me is when we go someplace else, something happens, say it's your fault. Because I think what happened in the village, I think it's Monroe that this happened, village or town, I forget, but they weren't happy with some there, and some board members were fighting with other board members. They go someplace and they called me up. No, I want to stay with you guys. I'm like, okay. Then there was an issue, I think it was at Blooming Grove, where something happened. They were kind of like trying to insinuate it was our problem. Then they decided, no, we didn't cause that problem. So, and that finding IT people sometimes is an issue for me. I'm looking for somebody not here, they're out gallivanting to some other town. So there's always been a little bit of a disagreement between John McDonald and the former controller, Jack Finnegan. Jack is convinced that we were losing money on the deal, and John's convinced that we were making money. So I've never really had the opportunity or the time to kind of dive into it. Now that we have a new controller, I'll probably take a harder look at it down the road, but she's just settling into that job, so I don't want to load her with this. We're also looking at some other things that she's got. So one of the things that I thought about, if we keep going with this, that maybe we have a service contract. That in order to get service from us, besides $100 an hour, they got to pony up $5,000 or $10,000 a year. If they're really serious, if they want to come with us, then okay. So that's what it's going to cost you to just get on our list. My bet is that'll pare some of them down. I'm guessing, I don't know. But if they can't go anyplace else, then it won't pare them down. So that's something that I think the board members are hearing for the first time tonight. So if you want to comment on that, it's fine, or we'll come back and revisit it, that's fine too, but I'm a little tired of being the helper for every other municipality. Some of them can't seem to get out of their own way.
Can you, John, can you share that email that you sent to the rest of the board? And can we, I know you're concerned with, and I can't say I disagree with, maybe perhaps liabilities or something our legal office can do to limit that somehow, crafting something to help us? I haven't really seen the contract, so I couldn't tell you if there's something in there that protects us, but is there something that we can?
I'll have to look at it myself. I just got a copy of one of the contracts, which I believe boilerplate, so I imagine they're all the same. I'll take a closer look at it. I'll talk to our insurance carrier as well, if you like.
I just gave that to you 2 days ago. So, listen, what happens is that he said, she said at some point in time, now I'm involved in litigation. They're saying, no, you did it. I'm saying, no, you did it. So even if we have something in there, I don't know if that would help us, but that's okay. Take a look at it. But any comments on the service contract? Anybody?
I think if they're serious enough to stay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So how many people in your IT department?
There was 4, we're down to 3.
How many would there be if you didn't do, you only did New Windsor only? You'd still have 3.
Well, the fourth one was justified for that outside work. He recently resigned.
Now, do we need a fourth now?
Well, I do, we're continuing into this.
Depends on who you're talking to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if we're gonna, if we were doing all this work with 4, and we have our own stuff to service, and we're down a guy, and the summer's coming, vacations, people been here long, bit. You've been here for 50 years. Patrick's been here for a while.
Well, your combined income is 121 and you're bringing in 193, right?
No, it's high, it's
121 is the bottom two.
172
Right.
this year.
Yeah.
And we're projected to bring in 193.
I mean, it seems that the math works, that you're making money, no?
Yes, we've also changed our software that allows more billing, and I'm working with my people so they more bill like, I'm gonna hate to hear it is, but attorneys and engineers, you bill for the hours that you're actually working on something. And I think they weren't billing correctly. That's why we were short some hours.
The 121, I think, is the bottom 2 employees, right?
That was from last year.
Yeah, that's the bottom 2. So one's gone. So obviously,
So it's 60,000 versus you're giving up the one guy and you're giving up
so if those
193,000.
two, if Danielle's off and it's you and Patrick, then it's considerably more. So that 121 turns into 221.
Our cover our expenses were still under what we're charging.
So, and that was a question I think, I had actually for Jack, and it was kind of, he said, I don't know if he didn't have a hand on it. I said, what are we spending from other towns? What are we putting out? I understand things are budgeted and they pay for it. And I know Patrick will order something, or you or whatever, and go to the town. Can you show me something where we paid, put this out, we took this in, and that's our profit?
Yeah, profit and loss.
Do we have that?
Well, yes, the profit is mainly on the labor. That's what we're making.
All right, so
Because they're under the same requirements we are when we do buy equipment, New York State contract and stuff. So what we pass on a little bit is if we have to do some research on it, like if I ask Patrick to design a server, he might put an hour's worth of work in there. He needs to charge him for the hours worth of work that he put in there to print that quote and stuff like that. I don't think necessarily we're doing that all the time. I have the highest paid person in my department with all benefits and everything is $91.73 an hour. The next one is $83.77 an hour. And then the lower 2, one is $53.42 and $50.71 per hour.
I mean, until if you do hire somebody, I think from this point forward, you probably shouldn't entertain any contracts, no new ones, I assume.
I mean,
Unless you're thinking
yeah.
the service charge is going to get you new one money.
yeah, well, that's maybe the issue. I mean, one of the things I was thinking about, and we can revisit this next month. Maybe we send all these people a letter that we are considering a service contract of whatever the number is. I think between 5 and 10,000. Will you be interested in that? And if you're not interested, probably we would be moving on. See, maybe get some feedback from them. But I mean, those salaries you just heard now, that's almost $100. That's not a car. That's not time, you know what I'm saying? So it's, if, maybe from that, it's a, maybe breaking even, maybe lose a little money, but we're exposing ourselves. Once you drive out of town in the car and you go someplace else and you have an accident or something happens, then it's on us.
So that was the next question. Is there additional equipment needed for servicing the other towns versus if you just did New Windsor only? So it sounds like a car, right?
Yeah.
Well, we have them already. We have the cars already. So we're fine. We don't need any additional anything.
Mhm.
So long as we don't take on any other municipalities, and I'm not in favor of taking on any more.
I think he's asking, do you need any equipment, IT
To
equipment
go with that is.
that we wouldn't have?
Yeah, what would it be if you were just your New Windsor, and what is the difference in dollars, say, in a year of value? Is there,
There's not gonna be any change other than to be 3 people. We'll still have the 2 cars. They still need to be able to go around to town facilities like cameras and other stuff to address that. So that doesn't go away.
I mean, I worry about us here. If we're doing 18, we have the same amount of contracts, we're down a guy. And now, and I don't, no disrespect for this, I know the IT department does what they do and they do it good. But with people on vacation and stuff, and we have a breakdown or something happen, I know you've been called in the middle of the night several times in the last week or so. And I think Patrick, and I think, like you said, it gets to be taxing, and at some point, either we hire somebody or we gotta,
Would my life be 100% easier without these missiles? Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So you're in favor as they expire to do away with them then, or?
I don't
I
like
forget their
to
month to
force them right out.
Yeah,
That's
month to month
right
anyway.
now, I can't support them with 3 people.
Right.
I'm not in favor of dropping them immediately, but we can work through a process that we can, help them transition over, but it's gonna take some time. It took us some time to get to 18. It's gonna take us some time to get, back to us. We have a lot of things that are intertwined with, services and subscription stuff, so we can take advantage of discounts.
So how about we send them, Sylvia?
I have a couple questions, if you don't mind. Did I hear you say before that we have other, not just municipalities, do we have other organizations that we service?
I mean, the 2 closest to home are the Valesky Fire Department and the Windsor Ambulance. The
And then,
Valesky Fire Department, the previous administration, and doesn't mean that this administration agreed to it, promised them that we would host their server in-house while they're building the firehouse.
Yeah, well,
Provided
we
whatever
would
support
do
we
that.
could.
And I don't think we would abandon either one of those
Sure.
because they're emergency services and they're part of what we do.
The rest of the municipalities, with the exception of Monroe Joint Fire District, that's all the fire.
thank you, I was just curious. Then you said you talked about software discounts. So do we purchase anything? So if we're taking the benefit of obviously buying in bulk, or do we pay ahead of time for other municipalities? Or do we maintain their services, like, their subscriptions or something, and
Well-
we bill them?
Oh, we
No,
purchase
okay.
like antivirus software.
Mhm.
We have about 600 endpoints that are covered. So I purchased the 600 endpoints and it's $17,000. And I keep whatever ours is, we pay for ours and they pay for theirs. I get about a 40% discount off of what they would normally offer other people. The backup, offline backup, we back up into the cloud with Microsoft Azure. So I go back and I bill everybody for whatever Microsoft is billing me for what they call tenants. So Town of Cornwall will be a tenant, or Hudson will be a tenant, we're a tenant. I bill them for that. And we distribute the cost. So we're putting the money basically up front and I'm billing them for it.
And the other thing is you mentioned influence over county and state. Can you give us an example of what you're referring to?
Well, when the county wants to do something, they get into a project. I mean, this is strictly IT. There's
Sure,
other
no, I
stuff
know.
to do. They give us a call and say, hey, we're working on this. You want to be part of it?
Gotcha.
What do you think? I mean, I expressed my opinion about the niche, the police department software that's getting pushed back a little bit. New York State, we were involved in the broadband, priority broadband. They went with AT&T, but I was part of that whole thing, understanding fully what that is all about. Those type of little projects we get involved in. RPS is the assessors, we're trying to do a countywide RPS program, which is also going to require us to network. Police department has their CAD system and everything goes through fiber out to the county. So we're involved, we're involved in that whole thing. So.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, so I'm gonna suggest that we send a letter to these municipalities saying that we are considering a service contract for $10,000 a year. Would you be interested? Or would that be enough to push you to go on your own? And see what they say.
Is 10,000 plus the hourly
Yeah,
charges
of
for
course.
labor? So 10,000 is just kind of like a,
That's a
Goodbye.
flat free service
Just to
contract.
sign on with us.
You sign up.
That's 180 grand right there.
If you don't want to do it, then good luck. Listen, I believe, and I think somebody said it here, I think Steven said it, that very good department. Our IT department is probably second to none. So they're getting a very, very good service, right? And we never leave them hanging. And to maybe sometimes, maybe to the detriment of, I need somebody here sometimes, you know. So I think maybe that's what we'll do. If no one has objection to that, I'll get that letter out in the next couple of weeks, maybe into this week. And then we'll see what kind of reaction you get. You'll probably get the calls. What's going on?
Well, there's also the municipalities are differencing in size. So, I mean, one size doesn't fit all. The Village of Harriman, we just do the police department there.
So let them tell us that.
Village of Chester is a
Yeah.
very small.
But we're still on call. Doesn't
Yes,
matter if
but
it's,
they know when they call us on the weekend, that's gotta be pretty bad, because they're getting double time, a minimum of double time for 4 hours
Mhm.
for us to come in. So very rarely do I get phone calls from them. I do get them from us all the time. But they're on the same boat that they gotta figure out where they're gonna come up with,
yeah,
$800 versus that.
I would let them tell us that you only come here for, if it's that, then go someplace else. I mean, I don't like the liability aspect. I really don't. I get a little concerned with that one thing that happened not too long. I forget what happened. Hacked or something was
Is
wrong.
that in Woman Grove was, malware.
Yeah, malware, whatever it
That
is.
was.
I got a little concerned about that, but it turned out that, as usual, we were okay. So maybe we'll send that letter out of Dave's office. I'll say, let me think about it. And then we'll come back and we'll see what's what. I mean, I think.
Sorry, finish your
I'm
thought,
done.
sorry. No, I just want to say, the email that you got, is it a summary of like how much time spent on each location? Do you have that? Is that what you're referring to? Or,
I mean, it's
just what he said.
what I gave you was a year to date, how many tickets and how much billable hours we had for that quarter. I can update that to make it the quarter, because when she asked for it, we were like kind of middle, kind of March.
Okay.
But it does break up how many tickets each municipality is, how much is for labor, and how much equipment we bought. There's separate columns. If you add up the process, it'll show you the grand total.
so you have for the quarter and you have last year as well?
Last year's a little bit tougher to get, but I can work that. It's a different type of software we're using.
Just something general. Okay, thank you.
I just don't want to lose sight of the fact that we are in the business of providing a service, not making money. Right? That's what government does. You provide a service and hopefully keep the taxes down, and you're not actually trying to make money. So that's something I just think we need to keep in mind. All right, so we'll send something out. No one else, anything else on this? Our next item is, we've been beating this dead through this health benefits for town board members. Everybody knows my position that I didn't think town board members would get any. There's been several different ideas that from other board members, and everybody has to vote. I know it's not the main vote here. I just have a vote like everybody else. So of the things that were put in last time and the different things brought to the table, I think the proposal will be that town board members get a single plan for the time that they're here. And once they're gone, they get nothing. So, you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, so we obviously agreed that you don't get them after retirement. We're past that.
Okay, we'll wait past
And,
that.
and then we got the current people that are on the board now. I think there's only one,
Right.
honestly, that takes it, would get the single plan and would pay the difference. He chose to get the family plan between the two.
Right.
And I mean, just my only thought was, obviously, that person is, I think I'm not sure exactly what the number was. I think it was like 31,000. 33. So, I mean, I think basically with the math, if we're paying the 15, he's actually doing his town board
Yeah.
job for
works
zero. For free.
It's 33 to
So-
14.
So he makes 18 on the board, he pays
Right.
18.
So when I pay for my family plan, the difference, it's the amount of the salary.
Okay.
So then I get zero to do the job that I ran for and spent money to run for.
Eve, anything?
I mean, we've been over this. The cost of health insurance has, rose astronomically. When it was passed by the town board, I think it was 0809. Family plan was 14,000. It's 33 now. I think that's over 100% increase, as I've said in the past. And that's why I came up with the middle ground compromise of that we get an individual plan, not a family plan. I did look into about 7 towns around us. 5 or 6 of them require like pay towards like a pay 20 to 25% of a family plan. I think 1 or 2 were like the majority was not giving just a completely free family plan, and the 2 that were, their salaries were a lot lower than ours.
Town of Newburgh?
No, Woodbury.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Town of
there's
Newburgh's
higher,
Yeah,
they
the
get
only one
benefits.
that's actually the only town I found that was higher than ours.
which is probably the most equivalent to us in size and capacity of what they do.
It's just, I personally, I don't believe anybody on the town board's putting in the same amount of hours as full-time employees here or full-time elected officials. So I just think it's fair to cut back on the benefits. Plus, it's also fair to the elected officials who are not taking it and who are only taking the buyout, which is only $4,000, which is nowhere near $33,000. So I think to bring our benefits packages more towards each other, then I think it has to be cut back a little. Otherwise, the benefits packages are all over the place. And I just don't think it's fair at all. Somebody to get a 4,000 buyout and somebody else to get a $33,000 benefits package. That comes out to be a benefit of, or a total compensation package of $52,000 for being on the town board, which me as a taxpayer, I'm more fiscally conservative in my personal opinion. I think that's too high.
Sylvia?
No, I agree. I'm happy that you have the opportunity to purchase family plan. And, should you choose it. So, great.
Okay. Stephen?
So I'm gonna work for zero is what it's gonna wind up being.
Well, if you're gonna look at it that way, I guess you will, yeah.
Okay. That seems completely unfair, but
Well, I mean, all of us in the town board have.
yeah, you have
have
your say.
full-time
It's fine. And I have an
jobs. No,
opinion
I'm
and that's
saying
fine.
we all have full-time jobs and some of us have other jobs as well.
Right.
So,
So you have benefits with those jobs. I don't.
Yeah, listen,
by choice.
I had Doreen, or I think it was Doreen, or Jack, work up the numbers. We're $73 million in the hole for medical benefits. If no one else came on, everybody who's here, you take their life expectancy out, and there's no mechanism to say for that. So this thing at some point in time, this year it went up 10%, went from 30 to 33. So I would imagine every year it's gonna go up. It used to go up like a little bit. Now it's gone up a lot. It's just, it's very damaging to the town. And I think the next contract negotiations with the union is going to be a very sticky point. There's no question about it. It's just out of control. All right, so that motion will be on for Wednesday night.
When would that take effect though? Because I think elected officials should be given proper notice.
Yeah, I
proper
think
time.
you get a month, probably 2. It wouldn't be a big deal.
We also talked about it being grandfathered, so I guess that's out the window too, right?
Yes.
It seems like I'm being targeted, so
Okay, listen.
that's okay. That's what you
No,
mean.
listen,
It's
you're
okay.
breaking even. I'm losing money.
How are you losing money?
Because I
You
have
get
been
benefits.
paying my state police benefits for,
Well,
16
you were a
years.
state trooper. I wasn't. You know, I
yeah,
didn't.
well,
I didn't have that
that's not my
career.
fault.
But I ran for a town position that had it included.
You've
That's
also
all.
made a statement that if you didn't get that, that you were leaving. That was a public statement you made.
I never said that.
Oh,
That's a
you
lie.
did. I said, we can play it back for you.
Let's do it.
We will.
Call me and
I'll
I'll
get it
come
for
by
you.
and see you.
We definitely will play it back for you. Okay.
Is that your intent? You want me to leave?
No, it's not my intent. It's what
Okay.
you said. I didn't say it.
Well, why are you bringing it up?
Because that's what you bring it up now.
So you
I'm not
must
arguing
want me
with
to
you.
get-
Listen, we'll have the
Okay,
agenda
okay.
and that's the end of it.
You asked me for my opinion. I give it to you.
Okay. No, you actually were targeting you. No, we're not targeting.
I felt like I was targeting you. I didn't ask you.
Okay. All right. All right. Next item on the agenda, these stipends, which is another thing that's completely out of control. So I gave everybody a copy of the stipends, and on there it says when the stipend started and how much they were. So I would lead off by saying this is in the budget for this year, so we're going to leave it alone. but I think we really need to take a hard look at it for the next budget cycle. Okay, there's some pretty decent stipends in here that people get, and maybe if their salary should have been raised, maybe that should have been brought up in union contracts. I don't know. So you were part of the negotiations. How did this actually get going?
Well, the stipend started, I believe, with you.
Yeah,
in
but that was
2000.
$2,000 for you.
No, 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 look,
The
so,
rest of them, now
so
we're,
in the year 2000,
Yeah.
the first stipend went to, I think, Larry Reese.
okay.
And then I was given a stipend by you,
Mhm.
put in by the police chief.
How much was that?
2002, at,
How much was that?
at 2000,
Okay.
$2,000.
Okay.
So since then, 20 years later, I got an increase of $3.26 an hour. So I went from $2,000 to $8,800.
Okay.
My, obviously,
So how did that happen? is what I'm
hold on,
asking.
my responsibility, so when I got hired there was a chief and a lieutenant and some patrolmen. Now there's a chief, deputy chief, 2 lieutenants, detective sergeants, 7 sergeants. So the responsibilities have increased drastically over the years. So when I was given that stipend, I was given, which was done by the chief through budget process. I was given a
Which chief?
Corey. So this was the letter. It was approved June 18th, 2002. It was received. So, and then I got it, it was approved by you. And then it came with a memo from the lieutenant on actually my responsibilities, which have drastically increased, obviously, because we even increased admin down there and everything. So it is what it is. So like, which I thought was the case, and I'll use Dave as an example, and I'll get to it. That every year a budget's put into the department head. Department head issues it, sends it to the comptroller. Comptroller gets it. The supervisor gets it. They make their cuts, and you either pass the cut or don't. So over the years, I'll use me as an example because we're obviously targeting me. That we
Well,
went,
you brought you up. I didn't.
we went to.
You just brought you
No,
up.
you did. You brought me up.
No, you started. I said you were anything about the
So
stipend.
we went to it goes to the department head. Hey, listen, Steve wants an increase. Okay, let's give him an increase, and then it goes to.
Chief Dawes says he never had anything to do with anything.
So it's funny because Chief Doss was actually my boss, the communications supervisor. I've been
Who is the communication?
right now, me,
He said
and then
no.
Paul Cronk is.
Yeah, he said you're not.
Paul Cronk is. No, I had a conversation with him the other day, and he did. And unfortunately, he's not here.
Okay.
So it's in the budget, and it's a shame if our police chief has been the police chief for how long, and he doesn't know that I'm in his budget.
Mhm.
Maybe he should look at it, because I'm clearly in the budget as being the communication supervisor as a stipend for 20 years, not 2 years, 20 years I've been in there for a stipend. So this year, this current town board, with the exception of Eve, I'm sorry, we just gave and Dave didn't, I asked him, he didn't do it. We just gave the paralegal $10,800.
You want to take that away from us?
Absolutely not. She deserves it.
Okay.
And I think so does the other 13 people. There's 14 people in town get stipends, equals $118,885, which equates less than 0.5% of our over $40 million budget.
That includes, they get overtime on top of that. You think that's a good
100%.
idea?
So does
No,
IT.
I'm asking you a simple question. You think that's a good idea?
100%.
Okay.
That's how it works.
That's what we differ, you.
It's
Now,
in the-
listen,
it's
we differ. I'm more fiscal conservative.
So
than you are.
we're-
You're just
we're-
going to give all the money away.
Well-
I'm not giving it away.
what I'm confused
Okay.
about is we voted collectively on 3 unanimously budgets passed. This has never been an issue.
It is not an issue now. and
Because I
just-
ran.
No, I just.
Because there was an
Did you
election
hear
and now
what
it's an
I said?
issue. I didn't know.
I said, not this year.
Mhm.
We need to look at this at the next budget.
Okay.
That's what I said.
For everybody.
We're paying- Yes, for
So
everybody.
do away with everybody's stipend.
No, well, we'll have to take a look.
Or
at
just
it.
mine?
No,
Oh, okay.
everybody's in the same boat. No
Okay.
one's, you singled yourself out, haven't they?
Oh, 100%. Because
Yeah,
that's why it's brought up, I think.
Well, like you have, there's other people in here getting $8,000 stipends. You want to bring them up?
There's a whole number of them.
Okay.
It's a 100%. There's people in here getting 22,000 people. Matter of fact, I got to be quite honest with you, when I saw this, I was actually taken back a bit. And I'll give you a for instance. Sue gets $4,000. That's laughable. She should get twice that, if not. The animal control officer, last time she got a raise, which was the same as me, she got it in 2016, was $2,000 to do weekends and nights for checking
Mhm.
dogs. Her deputy in her office gets 2,500. Now, the deputy in Kelly's office had it built in to the highest paid salary.
Mhm.
So when she won her election and she brought her deputies in, that deputy got the top paid salary when that person retired. And her office still got the less. So there is a lot of problems with this. There's a lot of problems.
There are, right?
People need to be bumped up in this.
Okay.
And I think we need to definitely look at some of it.
So
100%.
listen, let's just say that we'll agree to disagree.
No, fair
I
enough.
think that elected officials know going in what the salary is. And that's the salary. Now, if you don't want to do all of that work, then you should not run. Okay? I don't think anybody.
No, what is this?
Say
No, these
Susan,
are-
no,
these
you're
are
saying
what-
Susan should
Oh,
get
yeah,
more.
yeah.
No, I'm
No,
saying, no, she knows going in what it is. That's the salary. I'm not too sure, but however, I'm one vote.
Mhm.
I'm saying to you, in
You're
the
right.
next budget cycle, I'm gonna look at these stipends,
Mhm.
and they should either be incorporated into their salary or done away with.
No, they are.
No, I'm just saying, why are you getting, there's a union contract, which you
Mhm.
negotiated.
You gave it to me.
Yeah, it's, no, I gave it $2,000.
Yeah,
Now
that's-
now you're making
It's
almost
20
nine.
years later.
Right, okay.
I mean, like you said before, you retired from the state police. You probably didn't pay the medical, now you're paying. 20 years later, it happens. That's what
Yeah, but
happens.
the
So
problem,
this-
if you want to talk about yourself,
Yeah, I am.
the
Well, I
chief
don't want to
says
take
you're
on
not the
anybody.
communications
Right.
director, so
Okay.
I don't know why you get it.
Well, that's funny because he's the one that says I am. And
Okay.
in my memo, June 2nd,
About that,
it's
what year?
June 18th of 2002.
Two.
It says the designation of dispatcher supervisor position was approved for the police department, and it says approved G.
Okay. That's
Now,
2002.
now 20 years later, everybody has amnesia.
No, it's not amnesia, things change. No, things change.
Well, is somebody gonna tell me it did? That I'm not it now?
I'm telling you now that these stipends are too high. That's what
Listen,
I'm telling you.
well, that's
don't
fine.
have to
And like
agree
you
with
said,
me.
100%. You're,
So
you're
we-
fine. I'm more taken back by that our current police chief has no idea that I'm the communications supervisor and I get a stipend.
He seems to
I'm
think
blown
that
away.
the sergeant is. Okay, so you can take it up with him.
I will. Matter of
mean,
fact, I had a conversation with him and I thought he was gonna be here today because he says, I'm gonna support you if it gets brought up. And then he didn't show up. So I kind of figured that was gonna happen, but whatever, it is what it is.
I think that this became personal with you, but I think some
It
of
did.
these stipends, listen, there are two people that get stipends that are designated as department heads there's no resolution for that. That needs to be adjusted. That needs to be fixed. If they're gonna be department heads, maybe their stipend gets rolled into whatever salary they're getting. And that's how it's addressed. So there's some things that I wasn't here for 14 years.
No,
However, let me finish.
Mhm.
You negotiate all these contracts, you.
I,
So you
100%.
should know
Not all of them,
more
a
than
lot
any,
of them,
you
a lot
should know
of
more than
A
anybody.
lot of them.
How this happened.
But the stipend has nothing to do with the contract.
Well, how did they get them?
You gave it to me.
No, talk about yourself.
You gave
No,
it to
I
me.
gave you
Well,
2000,
George,
2002.
you gave out 6 of these 14 stipends.
Back in
6 of
2002.
them. No. John McDonald got 2. If you look at the dates on here.
No, John McDonald has 2 different jobs he's
Well,
doing.
Okay, so
No,
hear me out.
different job.
We got a document from the comptroller's office. 2020, it says stipend, account clerk. That was done in our regime, and I'll conclude us.
So who's that
It says account, Trish Tarcio.
for?
It says account
go
clerk,
ahead.
so she got it. John McDonald, I'm just going by the years
So
here.
what is he doing for that stipend?
It just says,
says that you
it
can
says
read. What does it
acting
say?
zoning board attorney
Yeah.
and stipend for acting court prosecutor.
Okay, so
and-
he's doing additional jobs.
My-
You just-
My
you
point,
dispute
my
that?
point being is that was done under our regime. And then, Larry Reese got one, and then I was the
Larry
next
Reese
one.
is not here.
No, he got one, but they still continue
All
that.
right,
for
I
that
want to talk
office.
about 2000, I want to talk about today.
Yeah, right.
So listen, I think everybody needs to look at this. Those people with a
Mm-hmm.
stipend need to know that it's going to be looked at the next
Well,
budget.
if everybody looked at the budget like I do,
Yeah,
they're in the budget.
well, you didn't seem to know that there was something for the paralegal.
Oh, no, I did.
No, you didn't.
Oh, 100%.
Don't lie. You were just asked about the other day. Stop.
100% I knew she was in there.
Okay.
How do you think?
Because you actually asked if it was in the budget.
No, I 100% I knew that she was
All right,
in,
listen to
she
me.
was in there,
I'm done.
100%.
I'm
But we
done.
gave it to her. $10,000,
I'm done. It
$800
was in the last budget.
this year. Exactly. So if anybody
But if
doesn't
you
know,
wanted to take that away, you should bring that up.
I don't want, I think she should get twice that. She shouldn't just get that. She should get twice that.
Okay.
But my point being is that we
Once again,
unanimously,
you are much more anxious to give money away than I am.
we unanimously approved this budget collectively, the 4 of us. No questions asked. 3 years later, after an election, stipends are a problem.
So,
You can read
I
between the
mean,
lines.
no, you keep saying double it, double it, double it. Who's paying for all this?
You tell
The
me.
taxpayers. I'll
You
tell you,
tell
the
me.
taxpayers.
Okay, and you just gave out 4 of them.
No, you want to double things now. Stop.
No, I said she
It's
deserves
normal.
double.
Okay? You just
She
said she
deserves
double.
She does.
So your vote would be to
100%.
double it, right?
But put it on the table and you'll see how
we
it
will at the
goes.
budget time.
Okay,
And I'm sure you will vote like
Same-
you do everything else.
very
Raise
easy.
taxes.
very easy.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, the next item on the agenda is The ethics board, we interviewed some people. We all agreed that one person would be appointed, Mr. Yon, Yon. So we'll appoint him on Wednesday, and he'll fill an unexpired term for John McDonald. And then there's issues with some of the candidates where there's political parties, there was too many on the ethics board. So what I'm gonna ask board members, if you have anybody, we've already put it out to the public. We wound up with those resumes. Anybody has anybody that they think should be on the ethics board, there's another opening will be available on July 3rd. Get it to my office by the end of this month. If you have somebody personally that you know
I
you
was gonna
want
say,
to,
it probably shouldn't be a friend of ours.
well,
that
you can,
Causes problems.
well, put it, if anybody has a recommendation, okay, so he'll be on there for Wednesday. So the reason he'll be on there is they were anxious to get another ethics board member because they're going through the disclosure forms. Next item on the agenda is another thing that I'm beginning to think is a loser for us, is this cemetery. I asked Matt Veronese and Keith Madetti, Building and Grounds, to make a recommendation to the board members as to what we should do to kind of bring this under control. Anybody have any comments on this memo?
So, you know, I just wanted, do you know what, when we took the cemetery, how much money we took in with that? Well, close to $1 million, huh?
I had heard, and I'm not sure, 750. That's the number I heard.
Do
when I
we
got here.
know, do we get a? I'm just wondering where we're at with, in
Where we are
reference
now,
to,
we're at about 550.
yeah, so where we took in, and, because I know there's perpetual care, these people pay into, and.
Okay, yeah, listen, there's some issues with the money that's taken into cemetery, seems to go to the general. fund. Okay, and then the general fund is paying the salaries of
Nothing
these
goes back
guys,
in the
so it's hard to figure out. Well, but we're paying salaries for the people who work there, which is why I shut it down. It was they were, that crew was getting $700-800 on a Saturday for some 3 or 4 hours work. So I'm trying to get away from that. So there's 3 options here. Have you looked at them?
Yeah.
Has anybody else looked at them? Okay. Start with you again.
So
What do you think?
I just happen to be sitting in the left hand of
Well,
God
you-
here. What do you want me to tell you? I gotta sit over there next year.
Well, you should.
You know, quite honestly, if we're not above board in what we're charging, we charge more.
If
I
we're not
couldn't,
above
I think we should be charging more then. If we're, so on a weekend, if we're, you know, if they're calling in 3 guys and they're burying somebody, and we're charging 800 and we're paying out 1,200 with the new math, we should raise it. I just think that there are different scenarios here, whether it be a full body burial or cremains. I believe cremains are different, a full body burial. So I think to charge somebody $2,000 for cremains is probably not fair to that family, in my opinion, to charge them a full body. I think cremains, you can actually have less employees than you would full body burial. So I think there's a couple of different, I say raise the price if you have it on weekends. I mean, the only problem with saying you can't have it on weekends, I believe the Jewish faith is if you pass and you go there, they have to put you in a certain amount of time.
Well, they have the Jewish cemetery right there.
No, but I mean, I think we have people that are buried there that need to be buried in a timely fashion. If it lands
Do
on a
we,
weekend.
Kelly?
We do, yeah.
Okay, but they need to be buried right away?
We've had situations where we've been told that, but, I mean, it just, you know, my comments in regards to Saturday, we talked about this, since we've increased the rates, we've seen the numbers on the weekends and the numbers on the weekends and after hours drop. I'm in agreement with the third option, which is, you know, we have to cover our costs. We speak with people not only from New Windsor, but from out of state who may have originally been from New Windsor or their loved ones are here and their families they're expecting to be, you know, buried with their family in the future. So I don't think that is an option that, you know, from talking with these people every day,
All
that
right,
would go over well.
so, all right, Eve, have you had a chance to look at this?
Yeah, I mean, if we're not charging comparable to what other cemeteries in the area charge, we should definitely increase that. And we should definitely be covering our costs since the money will. end
Yeah, I
up
think
being
everybody's on board with
Yeah,
covering.
well,
the
I think
costs.
other cemeteries may not have town employees either. So most cemeteries are run privately. So
Okay.
ours are run by the town.
Listen,
So.
You get cemetery workers making $20 an hour. Our guys are getting
Oh,
recalled double time
some
at
guys-
$50 an hour.
Well, I mean, it's like
60.
the contracts with other towns with IT, it's similar.
Same
So
deal.
my point is that if we're gonna bury, like Kelly said, if that diminished, you may tell these towns 10 grand to sign on with us and they may not go. They may not bury people on the weekends, but I know there's some people with their faith that they may have to. And to be quite honest with you, there's a lot of people that I think own plots there that have maybe somebody died in their family and they may want to go on the ground.
Yeah.
And
there's
to
a
do
lot
that,
of
to
that,
tell
yeah.
them, I'm sorry, you can't come up here on Saturday I don't know, I just
I
think
think
it's almost not fair.
if you bought something, you already bought it. But if you didn't,
Yeah.
go someplace else.
I mean, that, or we charge you two grand, and yeah, I know you say we're not in the money making business, but.
I
we-
wanna break even.
Unfortunately, we
already-
took over the cemetery, so we.
We already saw, I mean, in 2020, we had an increase obviously with COVID.
Yeah, right.
Burials, and a lot more burials. I showed you the numbers in 2020 on Saturday. We increased the numbers the last time around. People, they changed their option. Instead of doing Saturday, they made their they made themselves schedule for a weekday. So we've seen that decline. We don't have as many on Saturday.
Okay.
And people, when they know that the price is higher, they'll call us back and they'll say, oh, well, we want to try another day. So we'll see that often as well.
All right.
Um,
Sylvia, you got anything?
No, I think we should have the option of Saturday, at least, people may need that option, as long as we recoup our cost. I think we should, option 3.
Steve?
I'm just curious if we're losing money, making money, or breaking even.
Yeah, that's so much.
That's it.
I'm very curious.
So we should have somebody be able to tell us that.
Very curious. Well, because when you start looking at the overtime, that's when it becomes an issue.
Well,
It's
everything's
super
graded by history, so just get the history of.
So there's 3 options here. So I think I would like something in writing from the 4 of you, telling me which option you like, or if you don't like it, what you think it should be. Right?
Can we be provided with,
Right, here's mine.
Huh?
can we be provided with what Steve was just asking for, like,
Yeah, I'll tell you why it's
More-
almost
more
impossible,
numbers?
because they don't put it into the cemetery fund. They put it into the general fund.
I think, with the exception of the employees' rates, I think in her report, I believe, shows how much we've taken
I
in,
can tell you.
what kind of
we've taken
burials, all that stuff.
The weekends and
So
the weekdays. and
That we
yes,
can
I
get
can tell
easily.
you.
That's in the report. However, I think we'd have to go to Doreen
Then
to
you go
get
back to the overtime.
what's it cost. for the
So, listen, he just wrote a little note here. I think option 3 is probably the way to go. But I think I'll wait a week or 2. If anybody has anything else, send it into my office. Once again, it's not like something I gotta do now, but I'm just
The other
getting tired.
thing too, George, you might want to consider the after 3 on the weekday.
Excuse me?
The after 3 on the
After
weekday.
3 o'clock, yeah, because these
Again,
guys go
we-
home.
We probably have only had a few, but that's
Okay.
still, it's not. It's there.
Oh, that's not either.
Yeah, it just got, I talked to Keith and he's in 100% agreement. I mean, when they gotta come in, yeah, they're getting paid. And listen, the contract is a contract. I have no problem with it. You know what I mean? But they know themselves that it was just getting way too expensive. All right, next item on the agenda is a multi-year dog license. I think that Kelly requested this, going to 3 years. Dave, you kind of looked into this, right? Didn't see a problem with it?
And no problem with it. I drafted all over the law. Nah, change.
Anybody have a problem with this, going from 1 year to 3 years?
Of course, you know, I'm gonna ask. Kelly, I think you already have this, but I'm gonna ask anyway, the rabies, if somebody's rabies expires in
Yeah,
that,
it's only, it would only allow to get the license that would.
so it'd be a 2-year,
Rabies are.
so you
We're
would
just
just,
trying to give people
okay.
the flexibility who have that, so they don't have to come in each year or
now,
we don't
but,
have to mail stuff out each year.
now, I don't know what the answer to this is, cause I'm licensed my dog every year and I hope I don't have to worry about this, but if somebody were to license a dog for 3 years and halfway through the first year it dies, do we issue refunds or no? Have we?
We've only done 1 year, no.
That's what I'm saying. So we're getting a new crossroads here. I know, the reason I ask it, I kind of correlate it to my registration. I get rid of my truck and the registration, I send it back to DMV and they send me a refund.
Right.
So I didn't know if somebody's gonna take the chance of getting a 3-year dog license, if the dog dies, do we say
Is
that?
that something they have to
There's
do?
other municipalities that do this, I mean, I could ask. what
Can we
they
find
do.
out? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Listen, do they have to have it 3 years? Is that what it's gonna be?
No.
So
it
they
just
have the
gives
option
them
of
the
having
option.
one.
A lot of people.
Okay, so it's up to them. I guess if you do the, how much does it cost for the dog license?
$8.50 a
So
year.
if it's a non-senior license and they have, they're spayed or neutered, it's $8.50.
So that's
$25.50.
$25
Yeah.
versus how
So-
much is your car?
No, I get
Yeah,
it,
it's a
but
whole
I'm just
lot of
saying, I
money.
didn't know if other towns
Yeah,
did
I
it,
don't
and if they're gonna say,
It's their option. If you take option
Yeah.
3, you're on your own. I mean, if someone someone was throwing a fit the other day about some insignificant amount of money. I forget what it was, but Somebody made a big fuss, I
If
guess.
their dog gets hurt or something, then we.
If you go for
Pay
3
the
years, you go for 3
vet bill.
years.
Yeah, no, I know, I just.
Maybe just ask if they do that, if that's ever happened.
All right, so the next item is, everybody got the correspondence that I received from the attorney representing the PBA? Wanting, they were demanding that I negotiate with them about getting some of the CARES money that we got from the federal government. So I actually, I had a handwritten note to everybody that sees my comment, but listen, Chief Doss was at a chief's meeting and nobody did the things for their employees that I did when this first came out in 2020. We actually had half the people working in town hall, half of them stayed home. Half the police on the shift stayed home. I think half the command staff stayed home. So if there was an outbreak here, we would have been able to provide townwide services and more importantly, police services. So by all the times that people got off, Doss looked and each guy got about 30 days pay for not working over that period of time. There were some municipalities who did not give their employees or police officers any time. They just made them come to work, didn't really care what happened to them. And we, I think, really went the extra step. I don't think anybody did what we did to protect our employees.
Oh, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and just forgive me if
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
reading this right, I think what they were looking for was the CARES Act money for the time they actually worked and not the time they were given off. I understand you gave them off, but I think that's what the point was, is that. Now, I'll give you my example
Go ahead.
because I don't want to talk about it. I actually work for another town. I work for Carlisle
Yeah.
as a part-time cop, part-time. And they paid me. They paid full-timers and part-timers money. We didn't get time off. They couldn't give me time off because I'm a part-timer. So I think honestly, I believe the spirit of this was to try to get money back to the time they worked. Now, I know there were some town employees, I believe, that didn't have time off, highway guys, buildings and grounds. I think they were.
Me?
Yeah, you, whatever, I think we should write you a
I
check.
didn't take 5 minutes off.
Yeah, no, but my point is that, well, then you deserve a check. I just didn't know if there was, I know some municipalities did it, and I
But
think that's what they
we
were trying
paid
to
them
do.
to stay home.
No, I get it. I
30
understand.
days at whatever they make it a day.
I think the point was, I think they were looking to get the pay that they were here, because the whole country was home when they were here. So I think that was the point that they were just looking at. I honestly don't, that was it. I don't know.
Honestly thought thought they should get more money. Now, Cornwall, I think they probably gave, what they get, 500,000 to.
I got 500 part-time and 1,000 full-time.
But no one had any time off.
Townwide.
No one got paid for staying home.
Yeah, I don't-
You got paid for staying.
yeah,
Right?
no,
So-
where?
You
Oh,
stayed
yeah,
home.
I was a little less modified.
Yeah, but you could pay to stay home. And I'm sure it amounted to more than $1,000. But we went the extra step, and I'm really not crazy about the PBA thinking that they should get more. I mean, even some PBA members were like, oh boy, there's a high watermark for people, and to me, so we wrote back to them and told them that, there'll be no negotiations. I mean, all the time off that you got, and they can compare themselves to other towns, and they'll see that they did a whole lot better than anybody else. Okay, we're gonna move on to personnel, but before we get there.
Yeah, I just
wanted
had
to
one
bring
thing.
Something up.
Kelly, I'm sorry, I should
go
have touched
ahead.
on this before. There was a memo about this, Tara, this group, Tara, whatever happened with that, I don't know. I know there was were you doing that, or was it just feeling us out?
Just feeling it out to see
Okay.
if people were interested, but the sense I got was that that wasn't something we wanted to proceed with.
Okay, I didn't know if we were gonna get into that. And then just one other thing, before Anthony leaves. These streets, I'm sure you want
Yeah,
past
go
the
ahead.
park, we're adopting this, we're approving this?
We're gonna have a public hearing,
Okay.
and then we'll see what's
I
what.
just, Anthony, when you get a chance, the, on here is Walnut, which is a new one, but Plimpton Street, there's, resolution to look to put, no parking between Walsh and Lead Yard. And in the town code right now, there's no parking on the west side of Plimpton between Lead Yard and Columbus, and there's no signs there. And on Lead Yard, it says it's seasonal parking, and it just says no parking there. So when you guys get a chance, can you take a look at that and see if the signs need to be adjusted or added or whatever? That was it.
Lieutenant Fay was out there 2 or 3 times with this. This is a result of a complaint. Somebody said they can return. So we sent it down, and he actually went himself to look at it. So no, before we
So,
go
yeah,
to executive
yeah, so-
session, I want you to go.
So, the last administration, prior to us here, I, tried to court the town board with, we had a digital sign out in 207 and 300. and I had an idea of maybe doing one here in the town hall, and I kind of didn't gain much legs. I spoke to George about it a couple months ago, and he said, yeah, give me some, give me some prices and figures and rendering or something. So, well, with the help of Patrick, I put together a couple. This is just a conceptual design. This would be for the town hall out front here. I can give everybody a copy. This would actually be perpendicular to Union Avenue on the front lawn someplace that would be safe that you can't see. The only difference of this is we would lower this brick a little bit so you can, not that it's going to be obstructing any car view, but you can see through it. Underneath this would have been a planter at the town hall.
I was on when this was all, it's not before me.
No, no,
Yeah,
no. It
'cause
was
that
right-
sign got taken down back then.
Yes.
Weren't you talking about
Yes.
the Quick Check too or something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So this is one side, the other side would mirror it. This is actually two signs, not one. The, I said, gave to George, there's three different proposals for the signs. The better of the sign here for the three proposals was about 18,800. And total project cost would be about, with some donation work and everything, would be about, and using the town employees, about 25,000. So I could send it to everybody. This was just a sign. I believe this company is the one we use for the sign we had in 207-300. That's only a one. I kind of thought maybe we can use that, but the previous administration as well had plans to use that down at across from Quick Check on the corner there. That guy was going to put that sign in. It's only a one-sided sign, and then this is what we do.
That's digital.
Yes.
So I know, was it the zoning board, like next door, didn't they like,
So
strike down their digital requests? So what would be the difference?
So right now, first of all, the town's exempt from the law. George was concerned about that. He said, what about, right now, there are 11 digital signs in New Windsor. Digital signs in New Windsor are illegal. However, you can get a variance for them. I'll just give you some ideas. Carpet Mill Outlet, Walgreens, Devitt's, Foam and Wars, Patriot Trade, Sportsplex.
No, I was just
Street
referring, because
mobile.
I know, I remember next door.
So
struck
it
down,
was,
so-
there was a couple, and
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons was, and it's different, and the signs are a lot different now, obviously they're auto dimming at night.
Yeah,
and stuff like
exactly.
that. The concern was the light casting on the homes there.
Yeah.
And this is something that, there's gonna be safeguards, and then in the same conversation, I asked George if we can, actually, at some point, I know John brought it up with myself and the building department, we had talked about one point, doing a sign code, a digital sign code in town, because we don't allow them in New England. It really is kind of the century, the way we should do it, but have rules about it. So, yeah, we've checked with the engineer's office, attorney's office, and we are exempt from it. So,
Thank you.
but that's it. So I don't know.
You're gonna send everybody. a copy
I will.
of
I'll send everybody a copy of it, and then if it gains more legs, we'll go with
Yeah,
that.
I missed the sign that was on 207. I'm not sure why it's not there anymore.
So it was on state property, and it wasn't approved to be there, and now when they came and did that overpass, it was in their way, so they were required to take it down. So, but they did broker a deal with the gentleman down the road here to put it up, but the guy, COVID hit, honestly, like everybody else, and the guy just, he didn't do it. I think we still have the sign up in one of our town buildings, but like I said, it's only on one side sign. I think eventually at some point, I don't know if we're into the business, but we could probably almost use it for a little advertising if we had to, or if we wanted to, you can, make a couple of bucks on it for you, but it's a good informational thing.
We need more ways to get.
No, absolutely, and
Messages
not
out
everybody
there,
has
so,
the internet. And
Yeah.
so it'd be nice. And the road's heavily traveled.
There's a lot of traffic. Was this your idea or mine?
Of course not. You said you were gonna take credit for it. I told you I would,
Yeah, no.
I was gonna cut it off.
There are, a lot of people aren't tech savvy or have internet
No.
service, so that's kind of the people we're trying to pick up. But we'll see, let's see, I mean, if that number's hard, that's not bad, 25,000.
Yeah.
I don't know, should we get the zoning thing done first? Saying that digital signs are allowed, and then do ours? I know for example, you already went down that road, but.
I think I would be good with that. I know he's got enough work to do. He's probably like, these guys, I'm gonna kill you,
I'm
but.
sure I
I-
can
I-
find another municipality.
Yeah, quite honestly, yeah, I think we probably
be a
should do
better
something to
idea.
get that in gear because I guess it would even take some burden off the zoning and planning board, I guess. They will have to
that's
keep
what I'm
doing
talking
signs
about.
and stuff, so. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
Who?
Who? She got a raise.
Who's that?
Yes.
Just wrote her name down.
See
Okay,
here.
so that's it. We're going to executive session, show everybody, but
second. Councilman Monroe, I think I did a bad job answering his one question.
Yeah, go ahead. Try again.
I apologize for that. If we do no intermunicipal agreements, our costs are still the same, except they go up slightly, because we're gonna lose the discounts that we get.
That's what I was asking.
And I apologize. for that.
That's okay, thanks.
We're getting a little longer anyway.
I saw.
Okay.
We
so-
said 8:30.
What? Not say that. Okay, so everybody with the board members